What is that?
Bro. That's going to be great. And then again, it's going to get the cars. It's going to get cars.
participants. The opening ceremony will start in a few minutes. You can watch it in the MTA or in the conference room.
Have you seen Marylot? Have you seen Marylot? Nice to
My ass handed to me.
I can y'all speak up.
I got my ass handed to me because I got 5 film paper. Just say, speak of this. You should also voice your opinion. Speak of this. So obviously I was here practicing me. When I spoke, I had a shitty script, and then just got my ass handed to me.
But mine went really well.
Bro, we can't stand like nice.
Where's Ted and Roll? If they're there, I'm moving to that. What? It's in here. I don't know. Where's Ted and Roll? This is that. That's my brother. I got my ass. I got my We're not doing that. I got the CD. We actually, we're not doing that. We're together to make one big track. I know, but I've been the drunk committee for first. No, I'm not saying you're lucky, I'm saying I don't think you're lucky. I got no papers to say I literally got like half time. Yours, how many times did you speak? How many times did you speak? Yeah, but then my app up committee. Obviously, I know Sean actually wasn't going to say Does anybody have a drink? Water? We're going to get soft drinks afterwards. No, but I just feel like it's really good. I feel like yeah, they basically just walk around holding a flag with you're right, I actually am getting also, when I took notes,
You guys have your book? How many is you?
I'm pretty much trying to use it. I haven't used it I'm gonna pull another all-nighter.
I'm giving my speech for my committee. I should voice my opinion. I should voice my opinion.
No, the delegates are. The one you submitted the resolution. Okay, so you're not an ad hoc committee. Ten signatures and laptop. Oh, they go even so much.
May the House come to order. Esteemed Board of Directors, MUN Directors, Honourable Chairs, distinguished delegates and guests. I'd like to welcome every single one of you today to the 29th session of MUNISH. My name is Dominic Dunphy and I'm the President of the General Assembly. This year, the MUNISH Board of Directors, with great pride, has dedicated this conference to the theme of fostering developments and the complexity of an interconnected world. An interconnected world brings a multitude of challenges as it intersects areas such as political, economical, social, environmental, and technological challenges which face the modern-day world. This year's theme resembles a large jigsaw puzzle comprising of pieces which are equally important and represent individual challenges. Our mission this year at MUNISH is to find solutions for these complex topics. When tackling these issues, we need to address them with an holistic approach, meaning to create a mindset that transcends many cultural barriers, using open debates and respect to come together as a collective to inspire, innovate, and ideate. Throughout this conference, we'll play an important role in solving today's disputes for a more positive, globalized world. Today, we must learn to feel engaged rather than disheartened by an interconnected world. We must maximize the shared knowledge between our communities and adapt this to develop new solutions. I wholeheartedly hope that everyone here today will embrace their roles and responsibilities, that together we can establish and create ways to overcome issues associated with the exponential rate of globalization while stimulating the development of LEDCs. And finally, in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., what affects one directly affects all indirectly. Thank you. I would like to ask the House to join me in a minute of silence for the victims of war and terrorism and those who are seeking refuge from both. Thank you. I now yield the floor to Mr. Matthews, the principal of the International School of The Hague. Mr. Matthews, you now have the floor.
Thank you. Secretary General, Deputy Secretary General, President of the General Assembly, Board of Directors, delegates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our school. Welcome to MUNISH 2019, Fostering Development, the Complexities of an Interconnected World. I am honoured that the logistics coordinators of MUNISH have so kindly invited me to speak to you today. In fact, today has been a marvellous experience of seeing our school building taken over by students from around the world and leading such a fantastic event in what I must say is a fantastic school. I have to say that, don't I? My task here, assigned to me by the logistics coordinators, is not only to welcome you, but also to tell you a little bit about our school, to represent our school and our student body to you by informing you what is the International School of The Hague, to which you have come. And you have come from far and wide. You have come, of course, from the Netherlands, many of you, but also from the United States, from Turkey, from Morocco, from the United Kingdom, from Palestine, Japan and Cyprus. What an incredible collection of international-minded people from all around the world coming here for these 3 days to celebrate and discuss and tackle some of the world's problems, challenges that we all face. So, who are we at the International School of The Hague? Well, we are a Dutch international school. That means we are two different things. We are both Dutch and international. And so we are perhaps unusual in terms of schools internationally in having that dual existence. And that, I think, makes us very well placed to look at the old adage of think global, act local. Two schools in one as well, because we are a primary school and a secondary school that are two distinct legal entities, but we work together as one school. You will have surely noticed we are called the International School of The Hague. And we have grown enormously over the last few years as the demographics of this great city have changed. And so we now have on this site more than 2,000 students. And not only that, they represent around 100 different nationalities from around the world. So that's us in a nutshell. But more importantly, what do we stand for at the International School of The Hague? What do we believe in? Now, we have a vision, like every school, and our vision is that we would like to see a better future for all. And we don't mean for all of our students, we mean for all, full stop. We mean the world. We are very ambitious. We hope to influence the future in that way. How do we do that? We do that by inspiring personal excellence. And by personal excellence, we mean all-round excellence, not just academic, but also social, emotional, cultural, sporting, and so on. And we really do make that a reality here at our school. So our mission, our day-to-day mission, to make all that happen, is to inspire personal excellence. And we inspire personal excellence on a daily basis, just in the same way that you will be doing throughout these 3 days. How does it relate then to the theme, fostering development, the complexities of an interconnected world? With so many nationalities represented in our school, we're of course very familiar with the complexities of an interconnected world. And as regards fostering development, I would say that this is clearly articulated in the aim of our school, as expressed in our vision, a better future for all. Creating a better future for all means that we need to look for ways to foster development locally, nationally, and internationally. In fact, I would say it all starts at home. How are we developing ourselves? How are we raising awareness in our families, with our neighbours, and with our friends? I was asked, what is the role that young people have in all of this? Well, as I mentioned, here at the International School of The Hague, we believe that the route to a better future for all is to inspire young people like yourselves to become proactive and compassionate global citizens. Here at the International School of The Hague, we do this by inspiring personal excellence through all of the activities we have, both inside and outside the classroom. And during MUNISH, you will all be demonstrating and developing that personal excellence. We've even seen it today. Making it really certain that you are going to become those proactive and compassionate global citizens that we wish to see. Thus, I would say the baton is passed on to your generation. You are the future. Rise to the challenge and take on that responsibility. As young people, you are far better placed than some of us who are older than you to deal with the complexities of the modern world. But please don't feel abandoned by the older generations. Remember that the world has always been a complex and interconnected one. You have the advantage and challenge that technology has made that interconnectedness much more immediate and absolutely ubiquitous. So please engage us in your conversations, in your dialogue. Turn to us for advice perhaps now and again. But also teach us older people new ways of looking at things, and then together we can ensure a better future for all. Thank you.
Would now like to introduce the International School of The Hague's Viva Voce choir, led by Mr. Marco Augusto. The choir will be covering UNICEF's world version of the well-known song Imagine by John Lennon. This is in honor of MUNISH's 2019 charity UNICEF. Imagine talks about how the interconnected world. We are truly an interconnected world, and we are one country and one people. Therefore, we must get together and put all differences aside to achieve peace and foster development for a world that we live in. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Imagine, performed by Viva Voce Choir. Thank you to the ISH choir for that beautiful performance. I'd now like to yield my time to Mihir Sharma, the Deputy President of this year's second special conference, and Frederick Holm, this year's Deputy Chair for the First General Assembly on International Security and Disarmament. They will give a brief speech about this year's theme, fostering development and the complexities of an interconnected world and its significance in our world and the current global issues. Mr. Sharma and Mr. Holm, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President of the General Assembly. Honorable BOD, fellow student officers, esteemed guests, and dear delegates. It is not only my honor, but my pleasure to invite you all to the 29th annual, welcome you all to the 29th annual Model United Nations Conference here in the International School of The Hague.
As one of the most respected MUN conferences in the world, we are sure that all delegates and student officers present here are both extremely talented and highly motivated. We are welcoming over 1,200 delegates from over 30 schools from all around the world.
It is precisely this mix of cultures and backgrounds that makes MUNISH so special. It is an opportunity for students from internationally diverse backgrounds to come together and discuss real-life geopolitical topics and issues to find creative and realistic solutions to them.
The topic of this year's conference is fostering development, the complexities of an international world. The problems we face no longer affect us as individuals or as nations, but as a human race. As such, we can no longer address them individually, illustrating the necessity for institutions such as the United Nations. We have seen the perils of refusing to collaborate for far too often, with countries acting only in their own interest, not considering their impacts on others. It is imperative that we find innovative and contemporary solutions to foster development all around the world for the greater good.
The power of collective effort is undeniable, as evidenced by the fantastic work the UN has done in the past. Since its inception, rising out of the rubble of the Second World War, countries have worked together, and we truly do see we can strive for a better future. Working together is at the heart of MUN, and it is this concept that we would like to promote here at MUNISH. The value of having so many different cultures and backgrounds really does lend itself to the debate, as you get more nuanced voices, more diverse ideas, as no two opinions will be the same, and nor should they be.
It is exactly these differences which make the United Nations so effective, as we don't face the burden of a single story, as the Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie excellently highlighted. She said, many stories matter. Stories have been used both to dispossess and to malign. But stories can also be used to empower and to humanize. Stories can break the dignity of a people. But these same stories can also repair that broken dignity.
By having different opinions, we allow a far more broad view of these issues. It means no one nation can dominate the headlines and define the terms of a problem. It means that complex issues can be tackled for what they truly are, and not what they simply are perceived as. And it means that all sides are represented and treated as equals.
With this understanding of the perils of unilateralism and the power of collaboration and diversity, at this conference we have all the right components to provide powerful solutions to the pressing issues of our time, thus fostering development for the good of all humanity.
Thank you all, and we wish you a pleasant and productive conference.
Thank you, Mihir and Frederick, for your moving speech. We'd now like to entertain a short video on this year's theme prepared by Dion Scooterboom, a former ISH student. yield my time to the Secretary General of the 29th session of MUNISH, Miss Elaine Amirana Shavili. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, Your Excellencies, esteemed guests, fellow Board of Directors, honored student officers, and dear delegates. We stand here today seeking the same, to find the solutions that plague our world. We cannot conquer these challenges individually, nationally, or even regionally. We must work together and play towards the strength of our interconnected nature. Even with such interconnectedness, our differences still divide us, and therefore we must listen to the words of Dalai Lama. In today's interconnected and globalized world, it is now commonplace for people of dissimilar worldviews, faiths, and races to live side by side. It is a matter of great urgency, therefore, that we find ways to cooperate with one another in a spirit of mutual acceptance and respect. We must learn to come together, even if our differences have divided us in the past. We do not have time to wait for a future that we are united. We must make that a reality now, not in 10 or 20 years. It starts today. By being here at the Model United Nations at the International School of The Hague, we are overcoming the first hurdle in understanding, accepting, and finding unity with each other. If we look around this room today, you will see a multitude of different individuals from all around the world, yet we still gathered here today looking for the answers together. This shows us how even our differences cannot stop us from seeking a better future. Fostering development, the complexities of an interconnected world, this year's theme aims to emphasize the growth, action, and compromise needed on an international level, while recognizing the pitfalls that can result from interconnectedness and aim to resolve issues of such by promoting constructive and contemporary solutions. In a world that is more globalized than ever, it is essential to focus on resolving the issues that affect us all. Hence, to conquer such complexities, innovative thinking is essential, considering our shared fundamental principles of peace, justice, human rights, solidarity, and global cooperation. The theme from MUNISH 2019 will provide us with an urge to build a brighter and united future. Perhaps we may not be able to solve the large-scale global issues individually, but the first step must be taken by us. Take the climate marches, for example. It started with one girl, Greta Thunberg, and now the school strike for climate has taken place in cities such as New York, London, and The Hague. This is a perfect example of how our interconnected nature has driven us to work together to solve an issue that poses an imminent threat to us all. This cause started with one girl has developed into a worldwide call for action that people from the International School of The Hague have participated in as well. I urge all of you here today to look within. To overcome our differences, we must first learn to accept ourselves and then one another. If we do not discard the deep-rooted stereotypes in society, we will never be able to unify and prosper. It is our role as individuals to allow for such development. Only then will we be able to move forth to achieve the ideal aspects of life, such as peace, equality, and freedom. During this conference, I request all of you here today to try and let go of judgment and allow for the broadening of our minds by listening to what each of us have to say. By listening, I do not simply mean passive listening, but listen actively to the opinions, views, and solutions that the other is offering. It may be hard to implement this just over one weekend, but if we take these principles with us past this weekend, the issues of miscommunication, misunderstanding, and confusion will be behind us. I wish you all a conference that will enlighten, broaden, and strengthen our future. Thank you. I yield my time back to the presidency.
Thank you, Madam Secretary General, for your inspiring speech. We would now like to entertain a Meet the Bod video prepared by Public Relations Coordinator Kavisha Kulotunga and her team.
Welcome to MUNISH 2019.
Horowitz, and I am the Deputy Secretary General.
Our role as a secretariat is to oversee other functions.
We hope to make MUNISH an educational and enjoyable experience.
Hi, my name is Plum Moria.
Hi, my name is Mike Status.
Hi, I'm Marina Khan.
Hi, I'm Dennis Cole.
And we're the academic advisors for this year's MUNISH conference. Our main task is to choose the best student officers to facilitate all our delegates. We hope you guys have a nice conference.
Hello, my name is Frank Beaufort.
I'm Mariam Tonkin.
I'm Sophie Belcher.
And I'm Phoebe Nador.
And we're the External Affairs team of MUNISH 2019.
And we organize the guest speakers as a gift to you.
Hi, my name is Natalie Challenge.
And I'm Raj Bender, and we're the business managers. I'm the purchasing manager responsible for the merchandise team and ordering all the merchandise needed for the conference.
I'm Miguel Blanco, and we are the conference managers.
Hi, my name is Daniel Redondo.
Hi, I'm Alan Sexter.
Hi, I'm Megan McLaughlin, and we work behind the scenes to ensure a smooth running and well-organized conference.
Hi, I'm Aya Kimber. Hi, I'm Pati Nisha, and we're your hospitality managers for this year. We will be assisting you with this year's conference, picking you up at train stations, helping you out with the locker rooms, and making your experience overall worthwhile. See you there!
And I'm Patrick.
And together with the press team, we create and publish daily issues of newspapers that are available for you during MUNISH.
They will be available in print and online. Additionally, we oversee the creation and publishing of videos and photos that capture the exciting essence of the conference.
Hi, I'm Zia Brady. And I'm Lucia Alonso, and we're the logistics coordinators for this year's MUNISH conference. We're here to ensure that the behind-the-scenes organization of MUNISH runs smoothly and effectively. Together with the carefully selected team, we will be in charge of printing resolutions, committee aesthetics, committee photos, running the opening and closing ceremony, as well as workshops.
My name is Fisk Kamerat, and I prepare the approval panel committee for the necessary tasks.
Hello, my name is Alyssa Gingrich, and I'm Shannon Winterfelder, and we are delegate committees. Our goal is to prepare and inform delegates prior to the conference to have an eager and confident delegate body for MUNISH 2019.
Hi, I'm Sofia Pedro-Lopez.
Hi, I'm Christina Rules.
Hi, I'm Hannah Vernon.
Hi, I'm Teresa Peregrina Alba, and we are the Social Organizational Affairs.
We work in close collaboration with our affiliated charity, UNICEF, to raise funds and awareness.
We hope to make this an enjoyable conference for you.
I'm Renee Demat.
And I'm Miguel Suarez Gonzalez, and we're IT specialists.
We're in charge of making sure all technology runs smoothly at the conference.
Hi, I'm Kamisha Kotuka, and I will be this year's Public Relations Coordinator. I am in charge of overseeing all the social media to ensure that you have a lasting memory of MUNISH 2019.
We hope you have a great MUNISH 2019.
Thank you for that lovely video. It's now my great honor to yield the floor to our keynote speaker, Mr. Van Fleet. Mr. Van Fleet is a former teacher at the International School of The Hague, who for many years led the Global Issues Network, and with great passion and dedication. Mr. Van Fleet, you have the floor.
Welcome to MUNISH 29, and thank you, MUNISH BOD, for inviting me to say a few words on this year's theme, fostering developments, the complexities of an interconnected world, its challenges and opportunities. First of all, my compliments to all 1,200 of you for wanting to be here, for wanting to work with these school teams from so many countries, from so many different schools, on the global issues that need urgent attention. That's interconnectedness right there. And yes, the party will be an opportunity for a lot of fun. And yes, Note passing in the plenary sessions with inappropriate messages will be an added challenge. But most of all, you are here, of course, because you care. You want to be aware. You want to practice your organizational, social, and persuasive skills as the global citizens of tomorrow who want to make a difference. Now, interconnectedness is key in how we deal with this planet and the future it holds or doesn't hold. That's obvious, no argument there, a no-brainer. We could speak about the interconnectedness that Facebook and Google offer with their commercial business models, privacy issues, and fake news manipulations, but that's for another time and speaker, perhaps. Interconnectedness that matters is why you're here this weekend. And that's why we have climate change conferences, and we have the UN, and we have NATO, the EU, the WTO, World Bank, World Health Organizations, and all the other non-commercial organizations trying to establish common ground for a shared future for all. How ironic then that we live in a time where politically we have a trend away from interconnectedness. Not only do we have an orange-haired gentleman in a big white building somewhere across the water who is setting the tone of global debate with endless Twitter and talk of his nation coming first, we have leaders in Italy, the UK, well no, England, not Scotland, Hungary, India, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, to name but a few, who are saying similar things. Our country, our trade, our nation, our ethnic identity are championed at the expense of international cooperation, at the expense of the other, of the rival state, of the migrant seeking help, of the minorities asking for equal status. And by the way, interestingly, almost all these strong autocratic leaders are men. Is this a gender thing? Would we have a different, more consensus-seeking mindset in our political leaders if we had more women in positions of power? More readiness to compromise, more nurturing of commonly shared values? Is politics a testosterone-driven power trip? Perhaps it's worth thinking about. So come on, girls, take the toys from the boys and get on with moving this world forward. There is a challenge and an opportunity right there, and I'm only half kidding. Let's now turn to the complexities of interconnectedness, or as I see it, it's one major problem. Interconnectedness means that you communicate, and for communication you need language. And there are many languages in the world, and I don't mean English, French, Swahili, Mandarin, Chinese, etc., but rather languages as modes of expression. Languages with specific registers. Business language, for example, or the politically correct language used in gender studies, or the message you communicate by your actions. And I want to talk about two. The language of diplomacy and international relations, and the language of action. Both can work, both can and do fail. The language of diplomacy and international relations is what is used at the UN and here at MUNISH, and you use it well. You work a common ground of protocol and register. You draw up motions. You debate according to strict regulations. You vote, you reject, you overrule, or you pass and you declare. You use all the tricks in the art of rhetoric to persuade the opposing party. Ethos, using your personality as a trustworthy speaker. Pathos, when you appeal to emotion. Logos, how you build a reasonable argument. Then what happens? Frustratingly, more often than we like, nothing much happens at all for a very long time, if ever. Coming Monday, you're back in class, facing the daily grind and getting ready for the next exam. In New York, motions get passed, countries sign up or not, or even withdraw. Implementations of resolutions are boycotted or ignored. Security Council vetoes halt progress. No country can really be held to account. And let's look at the language of action. At school, you might join organizations such as Global Issues Network. You fundraise, you put up posters, you start a green team, an LGBTQ group, etc. Citizens around the world get fed up with the worst inefficiencies of parliamentary debate and international conventions where there's endless talk and no solutions. The B word springs to mind. So people take to the street, they demonstrate, chain themselves to fences, lie down to block traffic, run riot, and clash with authorities as a means of communicating their message. And does all this work? Do your fellow students and school boards and those authorities really take notice? Commuters seeing their way to work blocked by extinction rebels in London get irritated. Authorities in Hong Kong and other places hit back hard. Protesters in clashes get hurt or killed. The banking world has set out the occupied tent camps outside Wall Street and are as unregulated as ever before. Do things really change before half the world goes up in flames and the other half drowns? Well, as I said, both languages sometimes work and both too often fail. But the UN and similar institutions that offer platforms for international cooperation and interconnectedness is all we have. And all power to those people who are brave enough to stand up for what they believe in, sometimes at great personal risk, to fight for their ideals. But progress is so painfully slow. This, as I see it, is the main problem in interconnectedness. We communicate, but do we reach each other? I speak, I act, but do I really understand the person who is listening? Do I persuade someone by irritating him, or making him feel threatened, or appealing to a value that I might think is global, but is often culturally sensitive? Do I really make an effort to know the person and where he's coming from, that person that I'm trying to persuade? So here's the fourth rhetorical tool that the good old Greeks thought of that might help your language become more efficient and progress towards solutions quicker. They call it kairos, which you can sum up basically in this idea: what you say and do, and when and how you say and do this is important, but at least as important is this: how aware are you of who is listening? What is the point of preaching to the converted? Are you able to pop your own bubble and really see and listen to and empathize with the people you want to convince? I have two examples of speakers, very different, but both know their audiences. Our orange-haired gentleman, the leader of the free world, is a terrible public speaker. The worst ever, really, believe me. The worst ever in the world and in the history of the world, believe me, really. But he knows his audience. He does not even try to speak outside of his and their bubble, because he knows his voters love the tough talk. The loyalty he whips up among his diehard supporters and their aggressive support, shown in endless news coverage, will sway swing voters and will give him a very good chance of a second term in office. It is, I believe, a very clever tactic. On the other side of the spectrum, we have a 16-year-old Swedish girl with Asperger's syndrome who showed full awareness of her audience in that 7-minute speech to the UN Assembly recently. Her speech, "How dare you?" was a bit of a shock compared to her usual media appearances, where she never loses her calm, but is always well-spoken and logical in her arguments. In New York, she was emotional, forceful, and accusing. How dare you? So different to her usual self, and so different to the heavily protocoled, regulated, carefully scripted speeches the UN Assembly is used to, that it stood out. It made the headlines, and I believe that speech made a big difference. She knew that she had to get beyond the accepted norms of polite diplomatic language to be truly heard on that platform. Again, a clever tactic. In conclusion, I would urge you to speak both languages. But powers of persuasion should not be an end in themselves. Make that effort to understand who you're trying to reach. Don't be so full of how right you are that you antagonize those you want to convince. They will only dig in deeper. If you truly want things done, you'll be most effective if you think about what your audience is likely to hear and see of what you say and do. Like-minded people are already connected. You want to reach the others. Be aware of your own bubble and their bubble and break through both. It's the only way for interconnectedness to really work. Interconnectedness is, of course, about you. Challenges and opportunities call. You must have heard this many times today also. But it is so true. You are our future, you third culture people, politically interested, socially, culturally diverse, accepting of differences in others, embracing shared global values. So on Monday, back in class, don't lose sight of this. Continue to stand up. Let yourself be heard. Take action and move us forward. Have a great MUNISH. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Van Vliet, for your interesting and enlightening speech. I'd now like to introduce the flag parade, showing off the many nations that we are representing during MUNISH 2019. refreshments served on the plaza after the opening ceremony. Now, it is my great honor and privilege to declare the 29th Annual Model United Nations of the International School of The Hague officially open.
I can't go under. I'm big.
Je staat vol in beeld. Dankjewel. Ja, steeds als wist ik wel. Dat is raar, anders zou het